Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed at 1,000 subscribers. I'll be posting a special video. I started recording with my phone because Linda was already laughing. I'm Jenna, I'm 27 and I froze by the pantry. I should have walked in, but my knees refused. My thumb hit record again just to be sure. Linda leaned forward and pointed toward the living room. "She's stupid," she announced, and the table reacted fast. Someone snorted and my stomach twisted tight. I watched Ethan's shoulder, praying he would turn around. He didn't turn, not even a little. His uncle slapped his back like this was a win. Ethan let out a small laugh, and my thumb slipped on the screen. I stared at the red dot, scared it would betray me. I told myself she meant someone else because denial is easy. Then she used my name and my face went hot. Jenna's smart in her own way, a cousin smiled too wide. My hands shook harder as the room leaned in. I pushed the pantry door open a crack, just enough to see faces. Linda's sisters watched me like judges, smiling without warmth. One of them lifted her glass, and I understood the game. My pulse thumped so loud I thought it might leak out. Ethan finally glanced toward the kitchen, and his eyes slid away. He knew I was there, and he stayed planted anyway. I wanted to storm in, but I pictured Linda calling me dramatic. So I swallowed it, and it burned on the way down. That was the moment I decided to keep recording. Linda kept going, and people kept feeding her quick laughs. She asked Ethan if he was sure, and he answered too smooth. His voice sounded careful, like he was managing a scene. I stood there counting breaths, waiting for the line he would cross. Then Linda lowered her voice, and the room leaned closer. I caught two words that made me go cold: "Good girl." Ethan gave a short chuckle, and my vision blurred. I backed up, still recording, and I almost dropped my phone. I killed the screen and pressed it flat to my palm. If they saw it, I'd look sneaky and guilty. If I stopped, I'd have nothing but my own word. I stayed still, listening for Ethan to finally choose me. Footsteps shifted, and I heard Ethan say my name like a warning. Linda laughed again, and someone answered with a sharp "MMHMM." I realized they knew I could hear them, and they did it anyway. My finger hovered over stop, then I let it run, and I walked toward them. I walked in with a smile that felt borrowed. Linda turned fast, like she smelled smoke. "Oh, there you are," her hand patted Ethan's arm. Everyone watched my face, waiting for my reaction. I acted normal because pride is a stupid survival skill. I asked a random question, then hated myself for it. A few people answered too quickly, like a rehearsal. Linda's eyes stayed on my mouth, not my words. Ethan shifted closer, blocking my line to his mom. His palm pressed my back for 1 second. It looked gentle, but it felt like control. I forced a laugh and my throat tightened. Linda offered me a seat with a bright grin. Her sister slid a chair out, then slid it back. The gesture was tiny, but it landed like a shove. Ethan pretended not to notice, which made it worse. I tried to meet Ethan's eyes and hold him there. He looked past me, then checked his watch. That move hit me harder than Linda's voice earlier. I could not tell if he was scared or trained. I excused myself and walked away before I cracked. My hands fumbled the screen as I replayed the audio. You know that feeling when reality keeps resetting itself? Linda's words snapped again, and my knees went loose. I stood there listening for Ethan's part because I needed context. His voice came through, calm and low, like a practiced answer. I caught my name in the phrase, "Don't start." My stomach flipped at how normal he sounded. A cousin slipped into the hall and closed the door behind her. Her eyes darted toward the living room, then back to me. "You heard it, didn't you?" Her fingers pinched her bracelet tight. I nodded once, and she looked like she regretted coming. She leaned in and lowered her voice, serious now. "This is what they do when someone might marry in." I started to ask why, then my tongue stuck. Her silence told me there was a reason people kept quiet. Footsteps thumped nearby, and she stiffened like a warning light. "Delete that," she mouthed, then shook her head fast. I locked my screen and held it against my leg. If she was afraid of a recording, what else was coming next? I grabbed Ethan's wrist and steered him toward the hallway. He let me guide him, which somehow felt worse. His smile stayed on, even when his eyes hardened. Not here, he breathed and my grip tightened. I pulled my phone up between us and hit play. Linda's voice cut through the speaker, loud and clean. Ethan's jaw flexed once, then he glanced behind me. The way he scanned the room felt like a warning. Tell me you didn't hear that, my voice came out thin. He pinched the bridge of his nose like I was a headache. Lower it, his fingers hover. Ed near my screen. That move made my stomach twist because it was automatic. I snapped the volume down but kept the clip running. Ethan swallowed and tried a soft laugh, like damage control. Mom gets carried away, his shoulders lifted in a shrug. He shrugged at my humiliation like it was weather. I stepped closer so he could not dodge my eyes. Carried away in front of everybody, my hands shook. He exhaled and rubbed his palms together, slow and tense. You're going to make this a thing, aren't you? That line hit me harder than her insult. Not because it was cruel, but because it was familiar. Like he had used it before, just quieter. I stared at him and realized he expected my silence. I asked him one question, then another, then another. He answered none of them, only shifted his weight. You're tired, he kept his voice low and steady. He sounded like he was talking to a problem, not me. I laughed once, sharp and ugly, then stopped. I'm tired because your family is playing with me. Ethan's eyes flicked to my phone again, then away. That flinch told me I was close to something real. He leaned in like he could press the moment flat. Please, his hand touched my elbow and held there. I pulled my arm free and his mouth tightened. The mask slipped for half a second and I saw annoyance. I turned the phone so the screen faced him fully. Explain the part where you laugh, my voice steadied. Ethan's lips parted then closed like he chose a script. It was awkward, he nodded once like that solved it. I shook my head and felt my face start to burn. Awkward as spilling a drink, not calling me stupid. Ethan's eyes went glossy for a beat, then cleared. He was not shocked, he was calculating. He glanced down the hall toward the living room. The noise from the family shifted, then quieted. Someone out there was listening for us to break. Ethan noticed too, and his posture stiffened. You want the truth, he stared at the floor. His fingers tapped his thigh in a tight rhythm. I didn't think it would go that far. That was the first crack and it scared me. I kept my voice level even though I wanted to scream. So you did think it would go somewhere. He lifted both hands, palms out like I held a weapon. It's just how they are, he said it like an apology. I hated that sentence because it sounded reasonable. Like I was supposed to accept it and keep smiling. You warned me about nothing, my chest felt tight. Ethan's eyes flashed and then he looked away fast. He swallowed and tried another angle, gentler, calmer. They've been burned before, his gaze stayed off mine. I waited because that sounded like a trap. He realized it too and his mouth snapped shut. I took a step back and forced him to follow. If he stayed near them, he would hide behind them. I walked us toward the entryway, out of earshot. He followed but his shoulders stayed tense. Did your mom tell you to bring me here? Ethan blinked then let out a slow breath. No, the word came too quick, too practiced. He added this was supposed to be nice, and I flinched. I pointed at my phone again like it was evidence. Nice doesn't include a crowd laughing at me. Ethan's mouth pulled tight, then he nodded once. I know, his voice dropped and that tiny softness almost fooled me. Then he ruined it with one sentence. But you can't react like this, his eyes hardened again. He angled his body, blocking the view from the living room. He was shielding them from me, not shielding me from them. I stared at him and felt something inside shift. You know that moment when you stop begging to be chosen? My hands went still and my voice went flat. React like what? I waited for his answer. His fingers curled, then relaxed, then curled again. Like you're hurt, the words landed like a slap. He must have seen my face because he rushed forward. Not because you aren't allowed, he added, and it sounded worse. I stepped sideways and kept distance between us. I'm allowed, you just don't want to deal with it. Ethan's gaze dropped to the floor again, then rose slowly. He looked at me like I was embarrassing him. He lowered his voice until it was almost a whisper. They watch for reactions, his eyes darted left. They decide who can handle the family, he winced after saying it. There it was, small, ugly, and real. My heart slammed once, then slowed down. So it is a test, the word tasted bitter. Ethan flinched, then nodded like he hated himself. Not a test, he corrected fast, and that was a lie. I stared at him until he filled the silence. It's more like a pressure, he rubbed his neck. They push, then they see who stays calm. He said calm like it was the only virtue. I laughed again, and it came out broken this time. So if I cry, I fail, my throat tightened. Ethan shook his head, but he did not deny it. His silence was louder than Linda's voice. A burst of laughter came afar. On the living room. Ethan's head snapped that direction like a trained reflex. He started to step away, then remembered I existed. That snap in his movement told me who ran his world. Did you tell them anything about me? Ethan's eyes widened, then narrowed, then widened again. I didn't, he stopped himself, which answered me. I felt my stomach drop, and I did not look away. I pushed because I needed something concrete. Did you call me sensitive? Did you call me confused? Ethan's lips pressed together, then he nodded once. Only to smooth things over, he whispered, and my hands went cold. Smooth things over, I repeated it slow. Ethan reached for me again, and I stepped back fast. He looked offended, like I was being unfair. That offended look almost made me laugh. I leaned in and kept my voice quiet and sharp. You painted me as the problem. Ethan's shoulders sagged, and he nodded like he lost a point. It was easier, he admitted it, and my chest tightened. The entryway creaked, and someone shifted nearby. I turned, and Linda's sister stood there with a polite smile. Her eyes flicked to my phone, then to Ethan's face. She walked away without speaking, and my skin crawled. Ethan followed my gaze and went pale for 1 second. He tried to smile again, but it did not land. Let's go back, his voice turned firm. He was not asking anymore, and that scared me. I lifted my phone a little, just enough for him to notice. I'm not going back until you pick a side. Ethan's eyes flashed, then softened, then flashed again. He looked trapped, and he still chose pressure over honesty. Tonight is not the night, his hand hovered near my shoulder. I swatted it away, and he froze like I hit him. His mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. What do you want me to do? He asked it like I was unreasonable. I pointed toward the living room with one finger. Stop them, my voice did not shake now. Ethan stared at my finger like it was a weapon. He did not move, and that was the answer. A phone buzzed from the living room, then another. Ethan's pocket buzzed too, and his eyes dropped. He tried to ignore it, but his hand drifted down anyway. Whatever waited on that screen had more power than I did. Ethan's hand dipped toward his pocket, and I intercepted it. I did not grab him, I just blocked the move. He stopped mid-reach, then forced a calm inhale. That pause felt like a choice he kept making. He angled away, like he needed privacy from me. His thumb hovered, then tapped anyway, fast and familiar. I caught one word on the lock screen: family. My pulse jumped at the casual secrecy. I stepped closer and held my palm out. Show me, my voice came out steady, which surprised me. Ethan blinked twice, then gave a tight smile. Can we not do this right now? That sentence flipped a switch in my head. Not anger at first, just clarity. I nodded like I agreed, then walked past him. He followed, and his steps sounded cautious. I went straight to the side table near the hallway. His tablet sat there face down like it was hiding. I knew the passcode once, and that fact felt gross. My thumb hovered over the screen, then pressed. The device lit up and my heart thumped once. No lock, no delay, like he expected to pick it up quickly. A row of messages sat open, already loaded. It felt like stepping into a room mid-conversation. The thread title hit first: Sunday Dinner Crew. A little list of names filled the top bar. I recognized faces from tonight, plus a few I did not. My mouth went dry as I scrolled. The newest message was from Linda. Smile, keep it light, don't scare her off yet. My fingers tightened around the edge of the tablet. Yet like I was a fish on a line. A reply popped up from Ethan, recent and short. A single thumbs up, no words, no pushback. I stared at that emoji until my eyes stung. That tiny symbol felt like betrayal with training wheels. I swiped up and saw older messages stack into view. Linda had a list formatted like instructions. Step 1, compliment her then tease her. My chest tightened as the pattern clicked. Another message came from one of the aunts. Ask her about money, watch her answer. A second one followed with a laughing reaction. My face went numb while my hand kept scrolling. A cousin typed, she might cry, that's a pass. Linda answered with a quick, crying is manipulation. I clenched my jaw so hard my teeth hurt. So that was the lens they used on everything. I kept reading because I needed the worst part. Someone asked, what's the trigger phrase tonight? Linda replied, stupid, use it like it's a joke. My grip slipped and I almost dropped the tablet. A message from Ethan sat right under that. Just don't do it in front of her. I stared at the line until my vision shimmered. He did not say don't do it at all. I scrolled again, slower now, like my brain lagged. Linda wrote, if she records, call her SN. Iki. Another aunt added, if she confronts, call her unstable. My throat tightened because it was too specific. I thought about my phone in my hand earlier. I thought about Ethan watching my screen, not my face. They had planned for my instincts like a trap. And I had walked straight into it. I heard footsteps behind me and locked the tablet fast. Ethan rounded the corner, eyes wide, then narrowed. His smile twitched, then fell away completely. He knew exactly what I saw. Give it back, his hand lifted, palm open. I held the tablet tighter against my chest. You told them to do it, my voice shook once. He flinched at the word told, then steadied. I didn't tell them, he shook his head hard. His fingers flexed, then stopped like he was reining in. You're taking it wrong, his eyes flicked toward the living room. That glance was a reflex and it disgusted me. I unlocked the screen again and turned it toward him. I scrolled to Linda's message about the trigger phrase. Ethan's face went still, like a mask snapped on. He had no script for receipts. A laugh burst from the living room, then cut off. Someone had noticed the tension in the hallway. Ethan stepped closer and lowered his voice, urgent now. Please don't make a scene. I hate that those words used to work on me. I used to be proud of being easy. Now I saw how useful that made me to them. My hand shook but my spine did not. I scrolled one more time, hunting for any mercy. I found a message from Ethan, older than tonight. She's eager, she wants approval, use that. My stomach dropped through the floor of my body. I looked up at him and waited for an explanation. Ethan opened his mouth, then closed it again. He swallowed, then tried to smile, and it looked painful. He whispered, it was just advice. Advice, I repeated it slow, tasting the word. Ethan reached for my elbow like he owned my movement. I stepped back fast and he stopped mid-grab. That near touch felt like the real him leaking out. He tried again, softer, palms up. You don't understand how my family is. I shook my head and held up the tablet. I understand the part where you helped them. Ethan's eyes flashed, then dulled, then flashed again. He leaned in, voice tight, almost threatening. Hand it over, his smile did not reach his eyes. The air between us felt sharp enough to cut. I lifted the tablet higher like a shield. If I walk back in, they'll act innocent. Ethan's jaw clenched and he stared past me. He was already planning the spin. A shadow moved at the end of the hall. Linda's sister appeared, then stopped like she hit a wall. Her gaze locked on the tablet, then slid to Ethan. She backed away without a sound. Ethan noticed her retreat and went pale for a beat. He took a step toward the living room, then stopped. He looked at me like I was the problem again. And that look told me tonight was about to explode. I marched into the living room and lifted the tablet high. Ethan grabbed my forearm, then caught himself. His grip loosened like he remembered people were watching. That tiny self-correction told me everything. Hey, sweetheart, Linda's smile turned on like a switch. I stepped around Ethan and faced the whole circle. My voice came out even, which felt unreal. Who wants to explain the group chat? A few faces flicked to Ethan, not to me. One uncle cleared his throat like I broke a rule. Linda blinked slow, then laughed like I told a joke. The laugh died when I did not smile back. Ethan moved closer, shoulder brushing mine. His whisper hit my ear, urgent and tight. Please, not here. His hand hovered near my elbow. I shifted away and the space between us stayed open. I set my phone on the coffee table, screen up. I tapped the recording and turned the volume all the way. Linda's voice filled the room, sharp and proud. The word landed again, and nobody could pretend. Silence spread fast, then scattered into fake noises. Aunt number one coughed, someone reached for a drink. Linda tilted her head like she felt insulted. Are you spying on us now? That line almost worked on me, I won't lie. It was delivered like a trap with glitter on it. I pointed at my phone and kept my hand steady. I recorded because you announced it to the room. Linda's mouth tightened for 1 second, then softened. She lifted her hands and played innocent, palms open. Oh, come on, we were teasing. Her eyes stayed cold. She waited for Ethan to rescue her. Ethan stepped forward and blocked half the room from seeing me. Let's calm down, he tried the gentle tone again. My jaw clenched when he said we like I belonged. I slid sideways so everyone could see my face. I unlocked the tablet and held it out like a receipt. My thumb scrolled to the message about the trigger phrase. Stupid, use it like it's a joke, I read it aloud. A cousin's face drained and she looked at the floor. Linda snapped her fingers, aiming at Ethan. Take that from her, the command came quick. Ethan hesitated, and his hesitation got noticed. That was the first time I saw Linda's patience crack. Ethan reached toward the tablet, then stopped midair. He looked at me like I was setting him on fire. Give it back, his voice went flat. I shook my head once and the room leaned closer. I scrolled again and found the line about crying. Crying is manipulation, I kept reading word for word. An aunt rolled her eyes like I proved nothing. Then I read the next one and the air shifted. If she records, call her sneaky, my voice stayed steady. If she confronts, call her unstable, I lifted my eyes. Linda's sister flinched like she got caught stealing. A few people stared at Linda, finally uncertain. Linda stepped toward me and put on her sweetest voice. You're twisting it, her smile widened too far. She reached for my hand like we were close friends. I pulled back and her smile fell hard. Ethan tried to intercept again, moving between us. He held his hands out like he was keeping peace. I looked straight at him and spoke slowly. You coached them on me. Ethan's eyes flashed, then shut down. He shook his head but his throat bobbed. I was trying to protect you, his voice sounded rehearsed. I felt something in me go quiet at that lie. I scrolled to the message that broke me completely. She's eager, she wants approval, use that, I read it. A couple people gasped, real this time. Ethan's face went stiff like he got slapped. Linda snapped, that's not what it means. She pointed at me, finger sharp. You always take things personally, her voice rose. The room watched to see if I would explode. I didn't explode, I didn't cry either. I took a slow breath and nodded once. You trained him to manage me, the words came out clean. Linda's eyes widened, then narrowed like blades. Ethan stepped toward me and lowered his voice. We can talk at home, his hand reached for my wrist. I moved back fast and his fingers caught air. That miss felt like the end of something. I touched the ring and paused because it mattered. Not because I loved the ring, but because I loved the idea. I slid it off and held it up for Ethan to see. His lips parted and no sound came out. Linda let out a harsh laugh and clapped once. Good, he deserves better, she aimed it at everyone. A few people nodded like trained seals. My face stayed still, and that seemed to upset her more. Ethan's voice cracked for the first time all night. Don't do this, his eyes went wet then hard. He glanced at his mom like he wanted permission. That glance answered my last question. I placed the ring on the table beside my phone. I picked up my phone and stopped the recording. My thumb hovered over save, then pressed without thinking. I saw Ethan notice and his face tightened. I walked toward the door and nobody moved to stop me. Two aunts watched like I was failing a final exam. Linda whispered something to her sister and they both smirked. Ethan followed a step behind, close but not close enough. At the doorway, he finally grabbed my hand. His grip was firm now, not gentle at all. Please, his voice shook and his eyes pleaded. I pulled my hand free and his fingers snapped empty. I turned back once and looked at the whole family. Keep your tests, my voice carried without yelling. I watched Linda's smile fade into something ugly. Then I walked out and the door shut like a verdict.